Hurricane Milton has undergone some very, very impressive strengthening today. It's now a Category 5 storm with winds of 175 miles per hour. First, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and help this channel to keep growing. I would appreciate that. So 175 mile per hour storm now. Very, very impressive. Forecast to actually make landfall late Wednesday, could be early Thursday. As a major hurricane. Probably not going to hit as a Category 5, but doesn't mean that there's not going to be catastrophic impacts from Milton here. So here's the track right now. So after X marks the spot, very, very small storm. So the winds are confined. They're very, very powerful, but they're in a very confined area. So first stop for Milton is going to be the Yucatan Peninsula. We'll have to see how close. Hopefully it stays far enough. I mean, the winds... peak winds, actually, let me take a look at this in live time now, but I think they're only like about 10 miles wide. So there's a good chance that the eye wall stays offshore of Mexico. And then at that point, it's going to start to turn northeast and head straight towards the coast of Florida. Now, let's take a look at this on satellite so you can just see how impressive this thing is. It's like a buzzsaw, perfectly symmetrical. I mean, this is textbook. This is as good of a look, as good, a good looking storm. I mean, as good as you can possibly really imagine. You can't draw these things up better in textbooks. But has really undergone strength. I think this morning it was 100 miles per hour and then rapidly intensified. So in the short term, there's probably going to be some wobbles in the intensity. I mean, storms usually just don't hang on to this type of intensity for too long. They undergo what's called eye wall replacement cycle. So we're going to watch for that Milton in the short term, as we'll probably see an eye wall replacement cycle before too long. We'll probably weaken it, at least temporarily, and then as we go into tomorrow, might try to regain some of that strength. And I think ultimately it's not going to hit. I'd be very surprised if this thing hits on peak. I do not see that happening, but still probably looking good chance of a major hurricane at landfall Wednesday or early Thursday. Let's pop over to one of the hurricane models here, and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I think it's kind of shows an eye wall replacement. So this is now overnight tonight. I'll back that up a little bit. You can see how tight that eye is, and as we go forward, you can see it kind of spread out a little bit. So I think it's seeing possibly an eye wall replacement cycle. And then as it goes over the really warm, deep waters here of the Gulf of Mexico, it actually re-strengthens it tomorrow and gets down into the 880s, which is extremely impressive, up there with some of the strongest hurricanes, up there with Wilma. I think Wilma had an 882, so could challenge that. We'll have to see. And then as it approaches the coast, it is expected to weaken as it comes ashore, but really the damage has been done, right? Because just because it weakens right before landfall, you still have all that water rushing towards the coast. So even though we might, I don't say only a 3, but it might come in as a 3, you still could see that Category 5 type of storm surge. Now this is 2 a.m. on Thursday, so wee hours of the morning on Thursday. That's bad too. So you don't want to be. Hopefully you're not on the coast and you're heeding those evacuation warnings, but water rushing in the middle of the night is got to be one of the more scary things that you can experience. Pop over to the GFS here. And GFS, same type of thing. This is 2 a.m. on Thursday with landfall right around the Tampa Bay area. Now, where it comes in is going to be really, really important as far as the storm surge goes. We'll take a look at that. Here are the hurricane tracks again, right over Tampa. So slight wobbles north or south are going to make a really, really big difference. Let's actually take a look at the peak storm surge forecast. So 8 to 12 feet. To give you an idea, Helene, which didn't even really come close to the Tampa Bay area, at least the center, you saw storm surges of 4 to 7 feet. And many places recorded that was their highest storm surge on record. And you saw all the damage it did. Clearwater down towards Reddington Beach. They really got hammered, and the cleanup is really just starting there. So this is terrible news, but I guess the only positive side is that people are going to take this seriously. People probably aren't even back in their homes there. So obviously life-saving is the most important part, and then you kind of deal with the aftermath of it, and certainly a sad situation, not something you want to see. But one thing we can hope for is if this thing goes further south, So you can see how Tampa Bay is shaped, and the way the storm's going to attack Tampa Bay, it's coming up from the southwest going northeast. And that's really the perfect or really worst case scenario, as the water gets funneled in really in a perfect direction. So if this thing comes in on Tampa Bay or into Tampa Bay directly or just north of it, that's going to be worst case scenario. That water just gets funneled in really perfectly, and it's kind of a perfect storm of things. So if it goes just south of there, you have more of an offshore wind, the wind coming off land. That's going to mitigate that storm surge a little bit. So if you're in Tampa Bay, that's really what you want to see, is this thing tick a little bit further south. Now, obviously, you have places like, Venice Beach and Sarasota, down towards Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Fort Myers area. That would then be a worst case scenario for them. So really, either way you slice it, somebody's probably going to be dealing with some catastrophic storm surge here. But hopefully as we go forward into tonight and tomorrow, we'll start to fine tune that. But really, it's tight. The cone is really, really tight. These tracks are really tightly clustered. So it's really just going to be a matter of shifting it just even a few miles to the south, to the north. It's going to make a big difference as far as that storm surge goes. Rainfall's the other story as well. It's going to be very, very heavy rainfall somewhere. Then GFS is a little bit further north, so than the European models. Wouldn't be surprised if this ticks south a little bit. We'll have to see, but for now, the yellow is 4 to 6. That first shade of orange, 6 to 8 inches of rain, and then we could see possibly 12 inches or more in portions of Florida. So that's going to be the other story as well, is that freshwater flooding. But that's it for now. So we're going to have another video out tomorrow. Hopefully we can fine tune that track a little bit, and hopefully we start to see some ticks to the south if you're in the Tampa Bay area. But regardless of that, please heed those evacuation warnings and get out if you haven't already, because this is going to be a big deal for sure. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.